118, he was busy boy over the weekend. Justin Marshall, 81 Test veteran of the All Blacks, joins us again. Welcome back, Marshy.
Yep, nice to be back, Marty.
Let's kick it off. Hamilton Friday night and go back to that. What an awesome crowd it was and an absolutely cracking game, Canes and Chiefs.
Yeah, it certainly was. And I feel that we've actually, during this Super Rugby Pacific season, we've actually had some really good games, high-quality games that have been those derby-type matches. And the New Zealand teams, when they seem to go at each other, tend to produce these dramatic, high-intensity, physical games. And in Hamilton on Friday night, there was no exception to the rule there, that's for sure. I totally agree with you. Real cracker of a game.
All right, okay. I've got a big moan coming in about 20 minutes about this. A couple of things. The red card for a start against Tupu, then I want to talk about the penalty against Jacobson. What is the guy meant to do? When he was in that position to tackle the Hurricanes hooker, he's virtually in a scrum position, Justin. And so Tupu ducks down into him. The rules are an ass, aren't they? Explain to me how that's a red card.
Yeah, well, this is the ambiguity in it. This is the problem, that there is determination that there's been head-to-head contact or contact with the head. This is the way that they describe it. So what they tend to do is they tend to pin that on the tackler, and they say that it's the tackler's responsibility. And I've always taken umbrage with it, simply because you can be in the perfect condition and you can position, and you cannot control what the ball carriers do, whether they are falling, the height that they're at. When you start your position to tackle, if you're in the right position and something in a second happens that changes all that dynamic, there's no intent. There's zero intent. Your intent the whole time was to make a legal, proper tackle. And then all of a sudden, in a second, that can all change and be flipped on its head. So in those circumstances, like, I have always felt that there's a harshness in it that is unfair when you look at the various, I guess, dynamics of it. But the way that the law is being governed now is they say that it's a responsibility, like the law in the air. So the law in the air is the responsibility of the defending player to protect the other player. So whether he's in the air or whether he's carrying the ball, and if you get it wrong, you suffer the consequences, which I think a lot of times, and pretty much like at the weekend, it doesn't work out to be fair.
Jacobson makes the tackle. Two Hurricanes players jump on him. The referee says, get free. He can't get free. He's thrashing around there like a shark on a beach, mate. I mean, what's he meant to do in that circumstance?
Yeah, good
analogy
of it.
Yeah.
They do look a bit like that at times, don't they? We used to take the mickey out of rugby league players when they were basically...
You remember that guy, Michael Hancock? He was supposed to make basically bloody salmon on a riverbank, didn't he? He just kept bucking and bucking and bucking.
Didn't he? Absolutely. It was reasonably comical. Yeah, they are. The players, when you can see that they are trying to make an effort, or you can quite clearly see where they are pinned, this is where, again, what's happening to the referees is they are refereeing the game to the letter of the law. And that is coming from a directive from World Rugby. And if they don't, and there is a player in the way, then they get marked against it. But what it isn't allowing them to do, in the fairness of the law, is determine common sense. And common sense sometimes say, yep, hey, look, I'm being asked to penalise that. But I can see in this instance, A, that the player was trapped and he couldn't move, and his intent was never to be there. And I can see that he is trapped either by one of the opposition players or one of his own, and there's absolutely no intent for him to be there and he cannot move. Or B, like when you described the Michael Hancock flapping on the sand analogy, the player clearly was trying to get out of there, then he couldn't, then he was stuck. He made an effort. So what we've got to get to is allowing the referees to use that discretion.
Yes.
But World Rugby won't let them do that now. And if they don't penalise, they wear the consequences, which is, I feel, unfair on them, because at times they could probably see it for what it is.
Crusaders Blues. So where has that performance been all season? We saw it against the Chiefs and now we see it now. And when you see that from the Crusaders, you see the commitment, the drive, the desire, everything. And it's just like, well, how the hell have they had a season like they've had?
Exactly. And the resolve. The resolve of being in a position to win the game, being behind, being ahead, whatever it might be, and not giving up, and believing in your teammates and believing in that Crusaders jersey. And there was a real determination in that on Saturday night. You could see that, and they were up against a high-quality team that brought plenty to the match as well. And this is probably the question that needs to be asked, doesn't it? Because there's been a lot of fingers pointed at management. But at the end of the day, there wasn't a lot of change in game plan, and they still were at times slightly dysfunctional. I questioned some of their kicking strategy where they were kicking the ball back to the Blues aimlessly and rolling the dice on their counter-attack. At other times, there was some passes still went over the touchline. They dropped a little bit of ball, and there wasn't accuracy there. But within all of that performance was this determination, desire, resolve to stick at it regardless, and to go to the well, and go to the well time and time again. And that's what Crusaders do, Marty. They do that. They can have an off day. They can have a team that's playing well on the day and are playing out of their skin, but always find a way to win. And that team found a way to win at the weekend, and that's what's been missing this year. I think they've been trying bloody hard, but they just went mentally to the next level for whatever reason that might have been, but it was very evident that they got to that place.
Were they playing for Rob Penny? Can we draw that? I mean, I know it's a long bow to draw and trying to connect dots, but with what he went through during the week and that, and Cody Taylor came out in defence of him, and I'm sure the players would have been actually quite empathetic towards him and everything. What were they rallying behind him at all, do you think? Does that got anything to do with playing like that?
I don't think so. I think they have massive support for him and they believe in him as their coach. And I believe that he has created a really good environment there. The problem with the environment there is obviously it's not a winning one at the moment, but the players are feeling that as much as what the coach are. I feel there was a real aspect of history in that performance. 11 of the current players, including Cody Taylor and their senior management, were present at the Hall of Fame function on Friday afternoon, where there were 3 new inductees, Norm Maxwell, Leon McDonald, and Reuben Thorne, legends of the Crusader jersey. But those players would have heard the words that these guys spoke about, not only those players, but the players that were presenting to them as well as new inductees. And the messaging was very consistent. And that was that what Crusaders do is they play for each other and they do find a way to win somehow because they're brothers. And I feel that messaging was really strong for that team, and I know Cody Taylor spoke about it, and I'm sure that they knew that the alumni and all those players were there watching, and all they expected was not a win. They expected them to go out and do what Crusaders do, and that's just never give up. And hey, at the end of the day, if the opposition are better and get the job done, at least you can see the effort, and you can see the resilience, and you can see it right up until that final whistle. And maybe that's just that tiny little bit that's been missing, because it was there Saturday night. I saw it, and I was proud of it.